In an earlier video, I was talking about all the issues that I was running into in attempting to date. You know, how I was in better shape than most of the guys in my age range, and just, you know, different things they were lacking that I needed. But, you know, I like to try to be self-aware. I think I have a tendency even to be too self-aware. But, you know, I was thinking about it, and, you know, it's not just that what few guys seem to be available at all. You know, what they don't have that I need. You know, I have plenty of flaws myself, so it goes both ways, you know. I have met a few that I was interested in that weren't interested in me, or they might have been interested, but just on a different level, had different ideas for what kind of relationship that they wanted. You know, one of the major things that I don't have going for me is that even though I'm highly functional, I am bipolar. So, of course, that's gotten better over the years, but in many ways, at least as far as my ability to control my actions around the mood swings. But then you have to look at, you know, I would say an 80-20, maybe even 90-10, you know, depressive to manic ratio. So, well, but you know what though? That's basically when I spend too much time alone. I'm not that way usually when I'm with someone, at least someone who we're reasonably happy, you know. That's I guess that's why I spend single time on the depressive side, because, you know, I can take care of myself, obviously financially, practically. You know, I managed to keep 2 jobs going, and you know, do the things that need to be done, like car repairs, house repairs, you know, go help out a family member with something to the best of my ability. But I think because half of my nature is so passionate, even when I'm depressed, that's always there. It's just dormant, you know. But because of that, you know, yes, there are many things that I can enjoy on my own. There's even a few things that I enjoy best on my own, but for the most part, for me to truly enjoy something in the way that I'm capable of enjoying something, many things, it's just puts it on a whole new level if I have someone to experience that with me, enjoy it with me, especially if it's someone else who can feel things and experience things as deeply as I can. So, anyway, back to reasons that I'm not every guy's cup of tea. You know, I'm not in bad shape for my age, especially, you know, with my physical ability to be on my feet a lot, work a lot, all of that. But, you know, I am overweight. It's been a struggle ever since I had Casey, but it kind of, it fluctuates, but it tends to stay. My tendency is to be somewhat overweight, not obese, and it doesn't seem to matter that much to a lot of guys, but I don't know. I don't like it. And I've been working on it actually the last year or so. Very, very slowly. We'll see if that continues to work. But there is one thing that I do want to change, and I have like the long-term plan in mind. And that is that I smoke about a pack a day, and it's never been more than that. Never really been less since I, you know, first became addicted. But the plan is to at least to continue working on my weight for at least a bit longer, because I know that when I quit smoking, more than likely I'm going to gain weight, because it's such a huge change in habits, and it's an oral fixation, you know, so people that quit tend to eat more, or eat candy more, snack more, or something, you know. So I'd like to lose a little more before that happens, and then I'm going to get Chantix from my doctor. I've already talked to him about that. He knows that's the plan. Let's see. Oh, I'm not really a good cook. It's never been something that I really got into. I was too busy playing music or something else, you know, that interested me more. I'm not a great housekeeper, especially when I'm depressed. I'm better when I'm not depressed. Another thing that, you know, if I had someone else around, I'd probably be more motivated. So there's other things, but those are probably the major ones. And on the other hand, though, I mean, to really tell the true story of myself, I do have some things going for me. Sometimes things that I don't completely understand. Understand some of it. You know, the manic phase can be highly attractive because it actually makes me outgoing and extroverted, at least somewhat, you know. Makes me more social, and, you know, I have enough of a wit and a sense of humor and a brain, you know, that I can, and both a knowledge and a native intuition about human psychology, and the passion, you know. So when I'm manic, all of that is turned on, and, you know, sometimes I end up attracting and having encounters of some kind, you know, maybe even dating people some pretty special people. And, you know, I have some interesting stories that I may tell sometime. But I mean, I have a little bit of what I call magic going on if I have the inspiration to use it, if I have the energy and the right mood, but that doesn't happen all that often these days. But you know, I've been called a succubus 2 or 3 times, and it is it is kind of funny because succubus isn't exactly a positive thing, you know. It's basically saying that I can cast my spell on someone and they're hooked, addicted, like an addictive drug, you know. And I guess a couple of examples of that is, you know, I've had more than one guy in my life in some kind of role that has stuck around for an extremely long time, or even if they weren't in my life, I might run into them years later and they still think about me, you know. I had a friend with benefits, very off, a little bit on, you know, for a few years. And I mean, this started with us back in like 2002, and this is 2018, and he still messages me on my birthday. I haven't heard a lot from him in the last year or two, but he's on his second marriage now, but has messaged me during both of the marriages, you know. And I've had a boyfriend or two who were, well, one in particular, I was with for about 1.5 years in my early 20s, and I've run into him occasionally over the years because we have some friends in common, but I saw him last year. We were working on some music together because he's a really talented guitar player, and apparently he was still interested in me, and it ended up blowing up because he had a girlfriend and didn't tell his girlfriend about his practices with me, and I didn't know any of this was going on, and apparently she found out and flipped her lid because she thought that he, you know, was trying to get with me, and maybe he was. He never said anything like that, although he did tell me before we performed out one night that I looked really beautiful, and I kind of thought, uh-oh, but anyway, so anyway, there's it's definitely been interesting over the years, just ultimately unsatisfying, and I think one of the causes of my current really deep depression is that well, I turned 50 in a few months, and I know that 50 is just a number, you know, but because we tend to mark our age milestones by decades, you know, once you're grown. And there's something about that number, it sounds so middle-aged to me, and to be reaching that number with not having ever been married, not ever finding true love, being alone, you know, I've had my same last name all my life. I just, it bothers me. It's getting to me. I'll get through it and past it like I do everything apparently, but it just, I'm having a hard time dealing with it, you know.